Hey, you know how all the McDonald's and Burger Kings and Pizza Huts all look the same now and everything is just modified so it never is identifying as what it used to be? Yeah. That might be this guy's fault.
It's definitely this guy's fault. Yeah. He made everything just too similar.
How do you say his name?
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier. Whatever. This guy is an architect who basically, designed some stuff that made it to where we ended up in this very... I don't know. We just recorded. I couldn't explain it to you at all. He designed some stuff that made it so that we could build
sad
stuff.
So that everything's
essentially
sad.
When you look at like the buildings from like the Chernobyl or Soviet Union or that kind of like just gray brick buildings and stuff that makes you go, there's no personality in this building. This is the architect that kind of pioneered that style.
It's his personality in that building.
Yeah. So we learn all about Charles, whatever his
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier is what he goes by. I call him Charles because his building sucked. And so today's April 29th. Hey, this weekend I am in Lincoln, Illinois. If you know where that is, please tell me so I can figure out how to get there. But it's a show and we're doing it. So you should go to that. And then next month's April, but the month after, no,
this is April 29th.
Next month is May.
Next month's May.
June, I am on the church comedy tour. Would love to see you there. Go to my website, jaronmyers.com/shows. Please come to these shows. That would be
awesome. Hey man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of Le Corbusier? Le Corbusier? Le Corbusier.
It's just pronounced Colbert.
Colbert? Like the report? Corbusier report? The Corbusier report?
Like Stephen Colbert.
Yeah, he's got the Colbert report.
Yeah.
No, it's Le Corbusier. Here, I'll show you a picture of him. This picture was taken last week.
Mm-hmm. Okay, he's got a long pipe.
Guess where he's from?
France.
That's a good guess. Yeah, he's definitely got the glasses. He looks like he made nukes in 45.
It's true.
That's what he looks like to me.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. He's wearing a bow tie, but this is like bow tie era. You know, this is
like Orville Redenbacher time.
Yeah, this is when you could wear a bow tie and it wasn't like, you know?
Yeah, when you see someone wearing a bow tie now, you go, ugh.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Don't you?
Yeah, I think you know what I think ruined bow ties? Ventriloquist dummies. I think that's what really took them out of style. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you see like
there's just something about bow ties where like the people who wear them, they all act the same. Like,
yeah, it's also a young Sheldon thing too. Like it's like it's a little vibe.
It's a little oomph. Le Corbusier.
Carlson wears bow ties. That vibe.
Yeah. His birth name is actually Charles Edward Jeanneret. He's a Swiss guy, but he goes by Le Corbusier because he needed it.
Because it's cooler.
It is cooler. And for a guy who looks like this, you can't just be known as Charles. Which honestly, Charles fits too.
Yeah.
But, Le Corbusier fits a little bit better, right? It hits a little harder. He's known for doing stuff like this.
Is he an architect?
Yeah, he will become an architect one day.
What?
What?
He did become an architect one day. Did he design this building?
No. Yes, he did. He did design this. This is what it is.
Why are you doing weird stuff, man? Okay.
Hey, what do you think? I just pulled up some random building and was like, yeah, look at this.
No, you're like, he's known for doing this. I was, he's an architect. And you're like, yeah, he did that sometimes. Okay.
No, so Le Corbusier, he was born in...
You don't gotta try to be funny. You know that, right? I'll handle it if you want to like... I'll do the heavy lifting over there.
Thanks.
If you just tell the story, we'll get to some funny parts, but you keep trying to force some stuff.
I'm not trying to force anything. I'm telling jokes.
But your jokes are, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, we're doing bits, but your bits are, was he an architect? Maybe. And like, and you're going to listen back later and be like, I got him. He was an architect the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh, it wasn't a maybe. It was a yes.
What do you want me to do? You want me to do crowd work instead? Hey, what do you do for a living?
What's your deal?
Yeah,
huh?
what do you do
How long
for a
you guys
living?
been together, huh? Oh, man. Wow, what's the biggest fight you guys have had? Huh? Wow, this
have
is
you ever tried
great
that one?
clip for social
media.
media.
Have you ever tried that one? What's the biggest fight you've been in?
No, I'm going
That's
to.
a good try. That's a good.
What's the biggest fight y'all ever had over something dumb?
Honestly, it'd be a pretty good clip if you can get a couple
What's
to
the
break
fight
up.
you guys have been having for 20 years? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's the fight you're in right
What's
now?
the fight you and your wife have been in for a couple of years?
Oh, I've been dying to tell someone about this.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk about this on a podcast.
Ask me what I do.
What do you do? What
Maybe.
do you do?
See, that's a bit.
Wait,
you see how that's a joke. That's a well-crafted, fun.
Yeah, it was the same joke I
No.
told. The joke I said was no. I said no as a joke, and you said no as a joke. And now because you got this yellow shirt, it's funny.
Keep going with the stuff.
I was going with this stuff. You interrupted me to talk about me being funny or something.
So Le Corbusier or whatever. How do you say his name?
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier.
Le Corbusier.
All right, what's he doing? He's
what the French call
designing stuff.
Yes. So he was born in Switzerland. I was gonna say
he's Swiss.
He's Swiss.
I see.
Yeah. He was born in Switzerland in 1887. And he
what year?
1887.
Okay.
And his family was let's be honest, a little pretentious.
Sure.
His mother was a piano teacher, which here's one thing you got to know about piano teachers. Have you had any experiences with piano teachers?
Mom is one.
Yeah, what was your experience like with her?
Let's hear what
Tell
you
me what
say
your
about piano
experience
teachers
was like with piano teachers.
What do you gotta say about piano teachers?
I've probably told this story on the podcast before, but this is the archetype of piano teachers in my brain. At Evangel, I minored in music for a semester.
Sure.
And then I switched to psychology after this experience because it was so negative.
Okay.
I was like, this was so bad. I need to learn about what's wrong with my brain. And so I switched to psychology.
Sure.
So I had a piano teacher. I was learning piano. And there was one day where I was pretty sick. And so I emailed her before the class. It's a one-on-one lesson was the class.
And it was that old lady. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Well, I guess I should probably
don't say her name. I know who you're talking about.
But and so I emailed her and I was like, hey, I'm really sick.
She was not happy with you.
I was like, I'm really sick. Here's the deal. I'm really sick. I was like, I will come if you want me to come, but I just want you to know I'm very sick today. And
she responded, you live in Scott Hall. You can't walk 20 steps over here. You weak punk
it's
little
pretty close. She said, why don't you come?
State attitude having loser.
Missouri State attitude having. And so I came and I'm...
and then you got her sick.
I am
she died.
pouring.
She died.
I am literally pouring.
I killed that lady.
My nose is like literally dripping, actually dripping. That's how sick I was. And so I come in there, I'm playing the piece that I had been practicing, and my nose...
It was Ode to Joy.
It was Hot Cross Buns. And she's sitting there on the bench next to me while I'm doing my thing, and my nose is pouring. And she gets
reaches up and wipes your nose for you.
She just holds it in her hand. It's so gracious. No, she gets up, she walks over to her desk, and while I'm still playing, and she doesn't say anything. She doesn't say, oh, hold on. Like, I'm still playing. I'm like looking over my shoulder, and what is she doing? She grabs a box of tissues. She slams it down on the keys. It's gong, and she says to me, fix yourself. And I was like, I told you. I tried to prevent this. I tried to stop this from happening.
Yeah.
And so then I said, actually, I kind of want to do psychology instead.
Yeah.
I said, I kind of want to talk about this for the next 10 years in counseling.
Let's look at it from her perspective. Right? Let's just run it out from what she saw. Because she has to work with college students every day. College students are pretty bad. They email like, oh, I'm sick. And she's like, shut up. Just come to the lesson.
Yeah.
Right? So she says, just come to the lesson. This scrawny, pasty freshman.
First of all,
walks it.
Not pasty.
Stop.
Maybe a little scrawny, but not pasty.
Sure. When you're sick,
I mean, yeah, if you're sick, you're pasty.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, that's fair.
you're walking in, And so she gets to work.
I walk in my Hot Topic skinny jeans.
She's driven down
No
Flintstone.
zipper.
She's so mad. She's driven like there was Springfield traffic. She got to the school. It's like a cold day outside, you know. She gets in there. She like warms up on the piano. She's da na 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 na.
Yep, the song plays on this piano. That's right. It does. This piano knows how to play this
piano
song.
Does it. That's great. And then she responds to your email. She's like, come to class. You come in snot covered, male pattern baldness shaved. And clearly shaved. Like you had hair the day before and now you sit down.
I was
and you're
there
like,
yesterday.
ba, 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 ba. Ba, ba, ba. Like you messed up hot cross buns. And then so she just goes walks over, grabs the tissues, hits the note you were supposed to, boom, and says, fix yourself. You had the opportunity to take the wise words of counsel and go, I should fix myself. And instead, you said,
you hurt my feelings.
They are trying to change me. I'm perfect as I am. And you switched to psychology. And did we become friends in the second semester, I guess, then? Or did you have to take psych?
No, I had to take there was a
we were in that first
gen ed course that I was in that I met. Yeah. No. And then I villainized piano teachers from that point forward. Yeah. They're all that.
My mom was also that.
My mom would have done the same thing. So
I'll be honest with you. Yes. Because here's the thing about piano, dude, is that every kid doesn't want to learn it.
Yeah. It's one of those, it definitely is one of those instruments where it's like a lot of instruments you can kind of pick up and like after a little bit you can pick up and you can start to diddle around and play something pretty decent. But piano, it's like you're playing really dumb songs for a long time.
Yeah. For a long time.
A long time.
You're doing the scales for a long time.
Yeah.
But then that's the thing is that once you're good at it, pretty good at it.
You can do some cool stuff.
Fun.
It's really cool. Yeah. But it takes a while. It takes a long time. And I'm still in that long time. Because I've never fixed myself. And that's the message, Fix yourself.
Otherwise, you end up co-hosting a dying podcast.
Check out our paint job. Look how good it is.
Tim did the paint job.
I did the paint. Look, it's good, isn't it?
He thought it'd be fun to leave a texture, is what he said.
I thought it'd be fun if we didn't finish. Anyways,
so
Le Corbusier.
Yeah, Le Corbusier.
So his mom was a piano teacher.
Okay.
Very rude. We don't know that for sure, but she was a piano teacher.
We can assume.
His father was an artisan. He enameled boxes and watches. He didn't make them. He enameled them. Okay. So he just made boxes and watches worse, I guess. I don't know. Or covered, I don't know.
Made them shiny?
Yeah. And then his brother was an amateur violinist, which it's interesting that the Wikipedia page says amateur violinist. But they treated his brother, Albert, like he was a star.
Albert.
Yeah, because you got to remember too, this is 87. Yeah. Violin,
pretty hot.
Was the electric guitar.
Yeah.
Like it was sick.
Yeah. Kids out there in the streets going.
Yep. And all the kids with their no shoes or dancing around, throwing newspapers.
Kids with the violin sitting outside of Target, playing along to a track. If you ever see one of these people outside of Target or Ross, that's where they hang out. Yeah. Ask them to play something without the track.
Yeah.
Just ask them. Be like, why don't you play something without that? Yeah. They're in your what?
They're at my Sam's Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what they do? You know what they do at my Sam's Club? I'm not even exaggerating. What? They're in the planters. And they play by a bush. And I'm not even kidding. They put the speaker in the bush so you can't see the speaker. But like, I saw them in the winter. But so like the bush isn't bushy right now.
But they have
the speaker's in the bush.
But they have the backing tracks with it though. It's not just violin.
I mean, I think they're trying to make it look like it's all them.
Yeah.
Because they're hiding the speaker.
But I'm saying they're playing with they're playing with music in the background usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like playing a popular song with the karaoke version.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're not actually playing either.
Yeah.
Because it's
a scam.
It's called lip syncing.
Yes. But if it's a violin, it's called
string syncing.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah, it's an art, you know? It still takes skill. You still have to be talented to do it. Right? Remember? Never mind. So Le Corbusier, he is kind of flowing through life trying to figure out what he's interested in.
Yeah, his brother's got his violin stuff figured out.
Yeah, his brother is so cool. Just so cool.
Sure.
And his brother got into like what's the word for this? His brother got into Elvis impersonations.
Okay.
His brother was cool is the point. His brother was really, really cool.
He's trying to figure out what to do with his life.
Yeah. And so at the age of 15, he goes to like an art school.
Okay.
And he starts learning a little bit about the arts. And while he's there, he learns about architecture and he thinks it's so dumb. Genuinely.
Building buildings?
Yeah. Yeah. He does not get like the art side of it. Like they're acting like it's art, but he's like, this is not art. This is building stuff. And he's like, he doesn't get the art side of it. But he tries to.
Now it is. Now architecture is dumb.
Why do you say that?
Some of it's cool.
Why do you say that?
Because, I mean, look at what we're building now. America was supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And instead, we have Flash Cube. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about that.
What?
Like a Flash Cube.
Okay.
Like, I think that they have their place.
Sure.
I don't think everything should look like that, obviously.
Yeah. But I'm saying like the way that Wendy's and McDonald's are built now.
Yeah.
They look terrible.
So he then had an architecture teacher.
Okay.
Or no, he had an art teacher. And his art teacher, he described him later in life as a man from the woods.
Yeah.
And so he taught him about
like that one youth volunteer you've got. You know what I'm talking about? Every youth group has one volunteer who's just like lived in the woods for a couple of years, you know? Like he's just like that guy who's like, he's got a crazy testimony.
Yeah. A crazy testimony.
For real.
And so he
I had a lady like that when I was growing up in my church. She always had a story, dude. She'd be like, yeah, that was when I was living on a ship. We were saving whales. And you're like, what?
I think they were true stories?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Verified. She had like because it was about her jacket. It was her jacket for that team that was saving whales.
Yeah, I mean, I had stuff I lied about too.
Okay.
Have I talked about that on this podcast? My dog tags? my stolen valor.
I had stuff I lied about too. You know, like my dog tags. What?
I've not talked about this on this podcast.
Think so. Should you?
I had.
You have an opportunity to not.
It's fine. It's fine. It's probably better at this point to tell the whole story than to leave it at my stolen valor.
Okay.
No, I went to one of those like Wild at Heart things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Wild at Heart. It was at Evangel. It was the Cave Time.
It was that guy. It was that kid's dad, dude. Freaking Voss.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. They gave out dog tags.
Oh, yeah.
And the dog tags, they had like prayers on them. And so it's like you're supposed to take your dog tags and say the prayers every day. And so I was in that world. Yeah. And so I wore them after going to that. And I wore them around for a while. Yeah. And I was at North Point. And I volunteered at North Point. I served with students. And a guy saw my dog tags that I didn't know on a Sunday morning and was like, hey, you serve? And I was like, yeah. And he was like,
oh.
And he said, which branch? And I was like, that's a weird way to ask that. And I was like, students? And then he just looked at me like with these weird squinty eyes and then just walked away just like that. He was just like,
oh, I see what happened. Okay. Here's the thing about like the men's conference stuff like that. I, as a Christian man, I don't need to tame the lion within, you know? I don't need to save my wife, the damsel, or protect my kids, the legacy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I need? I need more curriculum on how to be a normal freaking person. That's what I need. I need some curriculum on how to actually like.
We're not all alcoholics.
Honestly, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So much of the men's conference stuff is like, tame the lion within, and freaking, you have these animalistic desires. And you're like,
Yeah.
You guys are freaking weird, dude. I don't need to play cornhole with raw steaks to feel like I'm
Yeah, put these gloves on so you can throw this steak around.
Those little black gloves, like, yeah.
That's so weird.
Like we have monster trucks. Dude, shut up.
Yeah.
You know what you don't have? A healthy relationship with your spouse. You don't have respect for your wife. Come on, man.
Yep.
Tim gets really uncomfortable at this. These men's events, man. We don't need Dante Hall to show up and sign pictures from when he was on the Chiefs in 2003. I need a pastor to look at me and go, you know what? It's okay. Like, yeah, the world's crazy, and like, it's not your job as the man to figure everything out before everything bad happens. Your job as a man is to show up and be present for your family, and learning how to do that and have healthy relationships and vulnerable connections with people around you. It's okay to be vulnerable, and it's okay to have feelings.
And it's also important to cook a really good steak, blow stuff up.
It's also important to crush your enemies and force them to comply.
Yeah, comply. So he said
That's what every morning I look at my demons in the mirror and I say, comply. In the name of Jesus, comply.
In the name of Jesus. Okay, so
kiss my dog tags.
I'm glad I serve.
I do serve. Which branch? The Lord's army. In the early days of this show, we did like affiliate ads where we were like, hey, sign up for Grammarly and use code TILLN, and we got like 15 cents. And now we just do Patreon. It's a much better way. It's better for us as creators. It's better for you as listeners. And it's a much more fun way for us to interact. We do monthly hangouts like on Zoom. We just hang out and play games online and get to know each other. It's a really fun time. So, but still use our code TILLN at Grammarly.com because I think it's still active. It is still active. Might get like a couple cents from that. Yeah. But join us on Patreon because we're having a great time.
Yeah. If you don't, we're going to have to start doing mobile game ads. So he's doing the art stuff. He's painting paintings, and he said that he lived on the mountaintop. He was so accustomed to standing on top of the mountains and painting the scenes.
Yeah, you were talking about his mentor, who or one of the teachers.
Yeah,
that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, he had a teacher who was the man of the woods, and they would stand on the mountaintops and they would paint. Paint pictures. And for some reason, gonna be honest, I don't know how this happened. But here's a direct quote from him looking back to his childhood, and he says, "I had a horror for architecture and architects." And he says, and I was 16.
A horror?
A horror. He was terrified of them. And he said, I was 16.
Some people are afraid of clowns.
Oh no, archways!
It's just a haunted house where someone pops out and they go, what if the stairs came down on the south side of the building?
We should put a truss here.
What if we knocked out this wall and created an open floor plan?
And then he continues.
Dude, his torture is him strapped to a chair being forced to watch HGTV. Eyes taped
That's
open.
torture for most of us.
Torture for me is having to watch Andy Elliott videos. You know what? Actually, you know what? Andy Elliott's not that bad. You know who's worse is the people like that are below him in his pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
That because it's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
But people below him who are just like, oh yeah, you got to sell. I'm selling people on coaching with Andy Elliott.
Yeah.
And they all use those little red and white captions on their videos.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you're a punk if you don't do this. You got to wake up at 2:30 in the morning. You know that would be torture for me if I have to watch that stuff.
Did you see that reel this week that went viral of him? Of him saying, if you don't make at least $100,000 a week, what's wrong with you? Or a month? Yeah. I think it's a month, $100,000 a month. If you're not making at least $100,000 a month, what's wrong with you? Yeah. And then it hard cuts to him flying coach. And he's like sitting down coach, like taking his seat. And it's like, pretty good.
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Anyways, so the quote, I had a horror of architecture and architects. It continues, I was 16. And
so scared of him.
I accepted the verdict and I obeyed and I moved into architecture. I don't know why. He was afraid of him, and then all of a sudden he's like, I have to be one.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. He went to an architecture like camp, right?
Yeah,
and then on Thursday night, they were like, hey, if you feel called to become an architect, come forward. And actually, we're not going to leave until someone does.
Yeah, and actually, last night we all spoke in tongue and groove. Today we're going to get our call.
Tonight we're going to speak in brick and mortar. And someone's got to come forward.
Someone's going to have to come forward.
Are you going to build this next generation?
Yeah. Or are you going to sit idly by
Are you a builder
on the
or a taker?
Tops? So he, at the age of 16, he says, I'm going to go on tour. And so he goes on tour and he travels. Yeah, I know. Yeah. He goes on tour, travels around Europe, and I'm not exaggerating. He goes on tour to look at all the buildings everywhere. And he says,
this is traveling.
This is how I'm
on tour. He's just traveling. Why did you call it tour?
That's what he calls it.
Yeah, but it's the same thing where they're like, all right, I'm going to go on a holiday. And you're like, he goes on a holiday, which means he made this whole thing a holiday. You're like,
they called it the Voyage of Initiation. 1907 to 1911. This is
he had a 4-year voyage of initiation. Holy cow, dude!
He was not traditionally
in America.
schooled.
We just call that community college.
We just call it your weird backpacking phase.
We just call it AA baseball.
So he goes and he travels this whole tour around. What is this? Southeastern Europe.
We just call it James River Leadership College.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say he did not have a mentor. He did not have a teacher. He had no one with him. He went around by himself and just looked at all the buildings he saw. And he's like, that's one of them. And then he would step to the next one, kind of like you would at an art studio, at an art gallery. And he would just look at it.
But that's what I'm saying is that the architecture he's looking at good architecture.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, he's looking at great
What's the style that America was supposed to be? Art Deco kind of thing? Like
Art Deco was like the 40s and like really like the 20s.
What were we supposed to be?
Before that?
No. You know, like all those drawings of
Tartarian.
Stop. No, I'm saying like when trains were supposed to look like, like the one from Wicked, like trains were
that like
and that whatever what's that art style called? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was like
American Gothic or something like that. Like
something futurism. Retrofuturism is what we call it now. I don't know what they call it then.
Yeah, but like there was like a term that it was like, this is what America was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then we realized how expensive it was to build those buildings and they would last too long. Yeah. So then we just started building crappier buildings that are easier to knock down when the vacancies come pouring in.
Yeah. That's accurate. Yeah. I don't know what that style was, but So he's going through and he's seeing all these historic buildings. This is 1911, right? So these are all these historic, like beautiful, ornate design, ornate architecture from all throughout history, all these different eras of architecture, different styles of architecture, especially this region he's traveling through. Like, this is like Italy, like Southern Europe, and then even like Greece, and then
where is this, buddy?
Peeking into Turkey. Mm-hmm. Like he's seeing a whole lot of this really... Map? Yeah, I know this. What are you talking about? I just listed like half the countries in the map that he went through. What are you talking about? And so he's seeing all these very significant locations throughout history with very significant architecture. Yeah. And then he comes home.
That's
back to Switzerland.
That was the Great Lakes.
How freaking funny.
How funny would it be?
It's Lake of the Ozarks. Like, and I'm like, yeah, he's going through Italy.
Going through all these places. And it's funny.
Now, he comes home and he says, all right, now I can finally earn the respect of my piano teacher mother. And so he says, I'm going to build her a home.
Yeah, this is a big Freudian thing.
And so, look at the guy. Look at the guy. Look at the guy.
Yeah. So he built her that house.
So he built her a house. And that wasn't it. This is the house. He builds her this house.
It's, beautiful.
It's nice.
It looks fine.
It's nice. This is the first thing he does. He builds his house. It's nice. Here's the thing you need to remember, though, about this. This is 1912.
Yeah.
And so this is a giant house.
Sure.
In 1912. Sure. He builds this house. His mom sees it, and she is immediately like, this is a monstrosity.
What?
She's like, this is way too big. She's like, we don't need this much space. This is absurd. This is too much. And so he's a little sad.
Just knock it down.
Tear it down.
I'm not going to do that.
Fix yourself.
Where did he get the money to do that?
I don't know. It's 1912. Everyone had money, you know? Here's the thing. How did he have the money to do this? Like his family, his dad puts enamel on watches. His mom teaches piano. Where did he get money to do any of this? It was cheap to be alive back then. You know? You could do whatever you want.
Okay. Sure.
And so he builds her this house. And I mean, I guess I'm going to contradict myself here real quick because they move in, they live there for a few years, but they can't afford it and they end up having to move out. And so this actually does financially ruin his family, the decision to live in this home.
If Tim would just read the next sentence in his notes before he chastises me. He goes, yeah, you idiot. It's just fine to live there.
You
dumb, how'd they get money to do any of it? Okay, so it turns out they didn't have any of the money. It's literally the next thing in your notes.
Well, okay, first of all, they did have money.
Go ahead.
So anyways, he builds this house. His family's not super grateful.
Right.
And so then he was like, you know what? Fine. I look around this town and it's too small for me. This little Swiss town, these people are not ready for what I have for them. I see the homes that they're building and they're lame. They don't have an architect. They don't have room for an architect like myself. Yeah. He's built one building.
Yeah.
And he's like
visionaries such as myself.
Yeah. He's like, I need to be where the architects are. And so he moves to Paris.
I want to be where the architects are. I want to be where they're putting things together. I want to be with that, what do you call it? Drafting tables. So I dated a girl who was in architecture.
Yeah, I remember that.
Major.
Yeah.
Architect major.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Architecture major.
On their desk, we had to go get a door from Home Depot. This is not a joke. Don't laugh at this. We had to go get a door from Home Depot. We had to, the first thing they have you do in architecture school is build your desk. This is so serious.
Yeah, yeah.
And they make you build your desk out of a door, and then that's what you work on. And then you just spend 14 hours a day with the same 5 people in that room.
Architecture is really interesting because it does feel like when you're studying, they make you build a lot of stuff, but like small.
But like small? Sure.
But like when you actually do the job, like you're just drawing pictures.
Yeah.
Like why did I do all that building if I'm just going to draw? I mean, I know they do models and stuff too.
You got to know how to do the draws.
What is this, a facility for ants?
Yeah.
So he moves to Paris and he's like, I'm going to be around all the architects.
Yeah.
I need to be where the professionals are. But like he's built one building. So he doesn't get any opportunities doing any building.
Right.
But he does somehow get a job at like a school. And so he does like theoretical stuff. And so he's thinking about architecture a lot.
Sure.
And he's like writing papers about architecture and how to do different designs, but he's not actually getting to actually build anything or do any actual designs. And around the same time, something very interesting happens. And that interesting thing, there's an interesting innovation. There's actually a lot of things happen. This is like the tail end of the Industrial Revolution.
Sure.
The world's vastly changing very quickly. And one of the big things is reinforced concrete. And so with reinforced concrete, I shouldn't say we always had concrete. Concrete dates back to like the Roman Empire. They had concrete.
Yeah.
But reinforced concrete, where they put steel rebar through,
right?
You now can do more interesting things with concrete. You can kind of shape it a little bit. You couldn't do that before. It was really just like a block, and you had to, or arches and stuff like that.
Right.
Now you kind of had opportunity to do some more interesting things. And so he started kind of theorizing, what can we do with concrete now that we couldn't do before?
Sure.
And so he puts out like an article for a theoretical home called the Domino House. And the Domino House puts him on the map, and he becomes like a famous architect.
Yeah.
But remember, he's still only built that one house. Like he's just a theoretical architect.
He hasn't actually built these things.
And so this is the Domino House. This is the house that all the architects in the world were like, holy crap. They saw this and they're word for word what they said. Ready? You ready to see this? The Domino House.
Oh my gosh. This guy invented parking garages.
If you're listening, it looks like a parking garage. It's a slat
and
then 6 little twigs holding up another slat. and then 6 little twigs holding up another slat. And there's no walls, there's no windows, there's no doors, there's a couple staircases, and that's it. It's just a big old opening with some ceilings and floors.
Okay.
And the pillars.
And they were like, oh my good golly.
He took buildings and he took the building away.
And here's what it looks like with the bricks underneath it. It looks like it had tires at one point, but then it got robbed. Like it's just sitting on cinder blocks.
So the reason why this was revolutionary,
right,
is up until this point, like the support beams weren't a thing. Your walls were all load bearing. And so to build a structure, you had to strategically plan your rooms and your walls to hold up the structure. But now all of a sudden, because they now can do support beams, you can hold up multiple floors with just 6 pillars and you don't need any walls at all. Yeah. And so this blew everyone's mind that they're like, holy crap, we don't need walls anymore. Obviously a little facetious because like we still would probably put walls on this building.
Yeah, but this is like the skeleton.
Yeah, but the idea is we don't need them anymore.
Yeah.
And so he paves the way for prefab homes. And he starts becoming this evangelist of, hey, we don't need, he becomes this evangelist of...
You could basically build a skeleton and then let people make their own floor plan inside.
Kinda, but more than that, he is looking to... like Ford and the Model T. He's a huge fan of Ford. And he's like,
mobile homes.
They can build...
This guy invented mobile homes.
They can build cars really
I'm
well.
a revolutionary architect who invented trailer parks.
He's like, the modern world is industrialized. Everyone can build with such efficiency and they can turn out all these vehicles so quickly at Ford. But homes, you still have your local brick maker, your local artisan who does what his family taught him how to do.
We need it to be industrialized so we can capitalize on it and make the most money possible.
Yeah, his point is like, this needs to be more efficient. And he's like, we have to make architecture more efficient. We have to make construction more efficient.
That's what I'm talking about when I say like the McDonald's and even the Panda Express. We're going to go to Panda after this, right?
Yeah.
It's designed. The building is designed so that because you can always tell when you drive past an old Backyard Burgers.
Yeah.
Or you drive past an old Burger King with the play place. You go, or Pizza Hut's the most famous one, right? Like you can see like, oh, that used to be a Pizza Hut. Because of the way the building was shaped. It's like literally their logo is the roof.
Yep.
But now they build things so that when they leave that building, it has...
Literally any fast food restaurant can move in.
And that... Which should kill your soul. That's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's smart business. I see why they do that. But it should, in your body, trigger some kind of, no one plans on investing in my community long term. Yeah. No one plans on, nothing matters and nothing is real and nothing's going to be here longer than me.
Yeah.
That should hurt you.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We know.
Does that hurt you?
When you walk into this building, you look out front and you're like, oh, this used to be a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Because like that, and that's what I think everyone's trying to get away from is because inevitably in the world we live in, Best Buy is not going to be here for forever. Yeah. Circuit City is going to go under. And so will Best Buy. And so building to suit that specific brand is not a good model. I agree with your point.
Sure, but what I'm saying...
in this culture we live in, it doesn't make sense.
Right, because
it's not
play it
fiscally
further.
Responsible.
You're on second 8 right now. We're going to second 12 of thought.
Okay.
Is that it is easier, more profitable, and makes more sense to just give way to a national brand than it does to have a local business.
Yes.
So a national brand is going to expand and put as many stores as they can, do all this stuff. They have no interest in being a part of your community or supporting the people who live there.
And
they view the worker as someone who can just run the machine and the system for them. And they put all the local businesses out of business.
Yep.
Right? No one plans on being in your community long term because everyone plans on either starting the new national brand. Everyone wants to be a national brand.
Yep.
No one wants to be a mom and pop.
Yep.
And that
the fallout of that
hurt you.
The fallout of that to continue that
should hurt you.
The fallout that you're not done. The fallout of that to continue 12. That is downtown San Francisco with Target and Walgreens and all those companies that moved out, and the messaging you receive is there was too much shoplifting, it's too dangerous, too much homelessness. But what is the reality is those brands have pushed real estate prices up so much that all the local businesses are not feasible there. All the local businesses
can't live there.
Out. Yeah. And so now those businesses,
so then they create a problem, but then they go, oh, we don't want to live with that
that
problem. They leave, and then that problem is just there.
And then all those people are stuck with that problem.
People who made investment real estate, they bought all these buildings and they built these apartment complexes. They're unwilling to drop their, like the rates, dude, at the downtown Kansas City things.
Yeah.
It is insane. It is insane that a 2-bedroom in one of the light buildings downtown, 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, any of them, 2-bedroom is more expensive than my apartment in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's stupid. It's dumb.
Yeah. So anyway, so Corbusier, he puts out this.
We got into another conversation about all the things that are wrong with the world. I'm trying to make it a musical. We keep spiraling down all the things that are wrong.
We did it again. So he puts out this thing, the Domino House, and then all these like architecture frou-frou heads. The people who are like really big into architecture. When inventions like this happen, here's like to put a button on it. When inventions like this happen, this can go one of two ways. This is either a revolutionary idea that could be like, oh, we can build on this. Or what ends up happening is, oh, we can make things way more efficient. We can make way more money for doing less work and less. Like we can just, because you can buy, it's what my dad complains about all the time, is that you can buy 30 of something for cheaper per item than you can one of something. Yeah.
If I'm doing a construction project and I only need 2 of those things, it is easier for a bigger company to come in and do that project because they got it at a cheaper rate because they bought 30 of those things, which makes sense. Like that's the whole thing. It's like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes financial sense, but it also makes it so that my dad can't break into that industry that a bigger company is already doing. Yeah. And it's stuff like that where it's just like, what are you going to regulate that bigger company out of doing better business? Are you going to regulate like?
There's fallout to it.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. When he makes this for the architecture kind of stuff, it's like this could either be something that, man, we can really expand on this and we can make beautiful, wonderful, lasting things, or we can make cheap garbage. Yeah. And I don't know where you live, but it's probably in some cheap garbage. And you're like, certainly not the house that I had built. My parents had their house built by the Amish. Their house is solid. It is insanely immaculate.
I have tried to blow that house down and it won't.
It won't go. You stand but you want to see how stupid your house is where you live. If you probably live in an apartment maybe, or if you own a home that you bought, like just take a little level, put it anywhere in your house.
Yeah. You're going to lose your mind. My house was built in 71. And that was like back when like,
your house
most
sucks.
People say, most people are like, yeah, they don't build it like they used to.
Sucks.
We just put those panels on the wall.
Oh yeah.
And
warped.
Gosh, it's insane how we've got like one side level, the whole thing's level all the way across. We get to the other wall, and I'm not exaggerating when I say we are almost 1.5 inches from that other wall because that other wall is just so crooked. It's insane. It's insane. Anyways,
we had to build it fast and cheap.
So he builds.
Nothing matters. No one cares about the community that they're building. No one cares about the money they're putting into the place that you're going to live and invest your life and raise your kids and put your kids in hopefully public education.
He puts the Domino House out.
What's Domino House?
He puts the Domino House out, and all these.
What radicalized you thinking about stuff?
He puts the Domino House.
Looking around my house and like these walls aren't right, dude. You know that story where someone's got like a good life and then they look at the lamp and they're like, that lamp's weird.
That lamp's
what it really was is the lamp was just cheap, dude. They looked at it and they're like, that lamp kind of sucks,
man. That lamp's pretty bad.
And then it broke their whole
reality.
And then it
turns out everything's bad. No, so he puts out the Domino House.
The message of our podcast is everything's bad.
He puts the Domino House out, and then a bunch of rich dudes with their pipes are reading their magazine that they subscribe to about
they're having their grandkids read them the paper.
Because they didn't learn how.
No, they know how to read, but that's how they're teaching them. It's Hetty Green. It's a callback to an episode that we recorded yesterday. This
architecture book, son.
And so it's
so they're reading it.
She's reading it, and so the granddaughter
the
is
Domino
like,
House.
Well, the new design is don't
sound it out, you dumb
Domingo House.
Domingo House. Oh, I love the sound of that Domingo House. It sounds so cultured.
Got a new design. It's real cool. It's designed by Domingo or whatever. I don't know, dude. It's a pop culture reference.
So he puts this thing out. He puts this thing out. A bunch of people read it in the magazine.
I'm trying to appeal to a broader audience, man.
He reads the magazine. A bunch of rich people read the magazine. They call him up. They say, let me get that guy on the phone. They call him up and they say, hey, dude, build me something. And so he started building a bunch of houses for rich people.
But again, this is his second. I mean, that doesn't
and
look
they all
bad.
look like this. These are the kind of homes that
they all look like IKEA furniture.
They look like and you don't see it from the outside. You barely see it from the outside, I should say. But they look like what you would expect the outside of the house of the neighbor at the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
This is what you would expect the outside of that house to look like.
This looks like Severance, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
They're very like...
What does the inside look like? We got shots of what the inside, because is it beautiful
I
inside?
have shots of the inside of something else I'll show you later, but not of this.
Because this looks pretty cool.
Yeah, they're building like it. Honestly, not my cup of tea. Probably want to buy it, but I can respect people who like this.
Yeah, you couldn't afford this, dude.
I mean, if I lived back then, everything was so cheap.
That's a piece of art.
If I lived back then, everything was so cheap, I could have easily done that.
Sure.
And so he's building homes, right?
Yeah.
He starts building homes for people, designing homes. But
big.
he has a bigger dream. He says, I don't want to build just homes.
I want to build the White House.
He wants to build Paris. And so in his dream, he wants to build Paris. So in his dream, he says, in a perfect world, I could tear Paris down and I could restart because we're not an efficient city. And he says, I don't
in a perfect world, I could destroy all of this. In a perfect world, I would be able to demolish and level the entire historical city of Paris, France. And starting from the ashes, I would place beam after beam, like Johnny Applebeam, just through the city. The whole thing's on a platform.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like it, there is some great news for you. We have a mailing list. In that mailing list, we give updates on past episodes. So things in the news, things that happen for episodes. We've got over 200 episodes we've done. And every week, things are changing. New updates are coming out. And we're keeping you up to date on what's happening in the happenings of TILLN Topics. So if you want to keep learning stuff, even beyond the content of the episodes, that's a great place to do it. Also, we give updates on things that's happening in the TILLN verse. I like that. I've never said TILLN verse before, but I'm sticking with it. If you want to know what's happening in the TILLN verse, that's the best place to do it. You can go to TILLN.com. There's a link in the description, or you can text TILLN to 66866. There's a lot of ways to sign up for the mailing list to make sure you keep up to date with everything that we've talked about and everything that's going on in the TILLN verse. But anyways, now back to this episode.
Okay, what was his vision?
So his vision, he wanted to, the efficiency was the thing. And so he wanted to make a more efficient city. So a city where everything was like the prefab design, using the domino house like mentality, where it was all built prefabricated, built more efficiently. And then most importantly, like, I don't know what the right word is for this. Kind of like what you hear like from like the people who are building the line, where it's like everything that you need is close to you. And so everything's like conveniently located, but there's room for everything and everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And so he starts theorizing about this and writing articles and stuff about what he wants Paris to look like. And he releases this image. This is a model of what he thinks Paris should be like. And it's honestly, if you're listening, it's the projects in New York. Like that's what he wants it to be. It's just
soulless.
These like 2 or 3 dozen cross-shaped skyscrapers that are insanely tall, and then a bunch of other like weird geometrically shaped buildings around it. And
this is a model. He built this.
Yeah, in like a pretty lifeless grid. But the idea is these are buildings you work and play and live in, and they've got everything you need in these buildings. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that every room of the building has a view, every single room. And
oh yeah,
that's the dream. That's the idea. And that's why it's shaped the way it is. But realistically, we know, because we've been in buildings like this, that the view on some of those is the other window.
Yeah.
So it's not a great view, but in theory, I guess it's a view. And these are obviously all just cement facades. Like there's nothing, no ornamentation, nothing inspiring or interesting about this. It's very utilitarian.
Yes.
And so, needless to say,
it looks bad.
Yeah. Needless to say,
do you think he got halfway through this model and was like, "Oh no"? You know what I'm saying? Like he built it and he was like, "Wait, this
kind of sucks.
This kind of sucks, but I'm so far in,
I'm too deep."
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've been talking to everybody about this.
Been talking to everybody.
I've been telling people about this idea. I can't like double back on it now. Like I'm in too deep. I gotta run this race, and I have to win
this race
because I've said too much. And so he starts campaigning for this idea, and he's going around. He goes to New York. He lands in New York. The reporters are so excited to see him. And there's this strange. He's like going and doing lectures, and he's like writing on pieces of paper, and women are fighting over the paper. Like he's kind of like a weird architecture celebrity. Yeah, he's a weird architecture celebrity. Which this is, to be fair, pre-Beatles, and so people didn't understand what cool was yet. They were like didn't know what it meant to be cool.
What?
Yeah, the Beatles had it happen, so like people hadn't seen someone do something really cool.
What year
yet.
is this right now again?
I mean, this is the 30s at this point. And so people haven't seen someone do something really cool yet.
Yeah.
And so like, oh my gosh, he's got cool ideas about buildings. I need papers he's
People
touched.
have seen Flight. What do you mean they haven't seen things that are cool?
Yeah, but
Planes exist.
Yeah, but they haven't seen a rock star yet.
Okay.
They haven't seen a movie star yet. Movie stars just started. Just started.
They're tossing their clothes at him. They're like, "We love your building. Oh, your beams."
Tell us again about that truss. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
So he goes to New York, and the reporters are swarming him, and they ask him. They said, "What do you think of New York? You're seeing New York City. What do you think of it? It's the greatest city in the world."
Welcome to New York. Dun, dun. We've been waiting for you. Welcome to New York. Welcome to New York.
And he looks around. He gets off, hit the boat or whatever, however he got there. And he looks around and he looks at it. And the reporter's like, "What do you think of New York?" And he says,
"This place sucks."
He says, "Your buildings are too short."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Gas." So he goes to New York and he does this tour in New York.
Your buildings aren't big enough.
Your buildings look too cool, and they're
What was the tallest building in New York at the time?
At the time, Empire State might have been under construction at the time.
Okay. Did he make the Chrysler Building then?
No, Chrysler Building was before Empire State.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Did he make?
When was Empire? Empire State was probably under construction when he got there. Yeah.
Okay.
So then, yeah, at the time, I think Chrysler would have been the tallest at that time. Because Chrysler, well, actually, you know what? Chrysler got completed only a year before Empire State.
Yeah.
There's a controversy.
Hated that.
So he comes to New York. He says, "Your buildings are too short." He goes back.
They're like, "We're trying, bro."
They're like
literally,
"Chill,
we're
dude.
Building one. Already.
Look at how big they are.
Look at that.
Look at how you can tell me something bigger in Paris, right?
Yeah.
You got a bigger one in Paris?" And he's like, "No, but yours are too short.
Yours are
too short." He said, "If the Paris government would let me level the city and build my city, it'd be way taller than your buildings." They're like, "Okay." My dad could beat up your dad.
If the Paris government would just let me level everything.
And so,
okay. All right, city of Paris, we've decided to let this guy do it. So we need everyone to leave for a while.
Leave for a little bit. This guy's going to tear the city down.
We don't know where you should go. They start playing closing time. It's like you can't stay here.
I don't care where you go.
You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah, well, actually, you definitely can't go home. Actually, because your home's here. So
we're gonna destroy
somewhere else to go. I guess.
So this is, as we've discussed, we've only been thinking about it for maybe 4 seconds, but turns out this is the idea we're gonna do, and it's you know.
So then he finds out about fascism. And he gets really excited about it. He's like,
yeah, the thing that's stopping me is the bureaucratic control of Paris.
No, his big thing about fascism is he says this makes a lot of sense because under fascism, I could give a better environment for the working class. That's what he's saying.
Sure.
So
yeah, I could fix it. I alone could fix it. Same thing of like the Disney idea for Epcot.
Yes.
Where it's like, I mean, honestly, Disney was a fascist.
Kinda.
Time mark that. That's my out of context quote for this week. Disney was a fascist.
So he
Still
becomes
is.
friends of fascists is probably something you could call
Friends of fascists?
Friends of fascists in a time where it
That's
was probably
one of our tiers on Patreon.
in a time where it probably wasn't a good thing to be friends with fascists, but it was.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, and
so he goes to Germany.
He actually moves to Italy.
Mussolini.
Yeah, and he moves to Italy.
A great fascist to be friend of.
He becomes close friends with their director of eugenics, and he works for him for a while. He starts building a bunch of buildings, but then realizes, I don't really like working for this guy. He's like, I don't know if I love fascism that much now that I'm like this close to it. And so then,
like, wait, this kind of sucks.
He's like, this guy's kind of a jerk. And so he quits his job.
I'm just here to build buildings.
Yeah,
not the master race. Sorry.
He quits his job, goes back to build some buildings. The war kicks off. The second one kicks off. And then he's got this society of architects that are like cut from the same cloth that all
He's like watching them. He's like, oh yeah, they're bombing Paris. Yes.
Yeah. So him and his group of architect friends,
He's
they
like,
believe
all right, they're going to need to rebuild. We'll do it.
Exactly. They see this as the best opportunity of a lifetime. They're like, we can rebuild the society now.
I hate this.
In the way that we want. And so they go start seeking up contracts to be the rebuilders. And lo and behold, the people who actually like the designs he has is the Soviet Union. And so he ends up building a bunch of new Soviet blocks, like the kind of things that you see.
Now we associate that with Soviet Russia.
Yes. And so he builds a bunch of these like housing. What's the word I'm looking for? Like
blocks.
I mean, I guess eventually it's housing blocks. Yeah, eventually it becomes housing blocks, but it starts out with this one very significant building he builds, and I'm trying to find the name of this. The Unit de Habitation, and this one specifically. This specific one's in France, actually. So also the fascists. And this one,
it's fascist at that time.
Yeah, France sided with Germany.
Oh.
And so this one actually got added to a UNESCO heritage site. List. This is the building.
Yeah.
Exactly what you picture.
Just a giant Lego.
Yeah, just a giant cement block with weird colors in random spots here and there. Here's the interesting thing, though. Interior's not bad. Like, not great.
Neat.
But one of the interesting things is all the hallways, every floor, these are businesses. And so you've got businesses, and then you've got your like actual apartment units. And so the live and work and play concept. But inside these spaces, they're not bad. He was a furniture designer too. A lot of this is his furniture.
Okay. Yeah, they look pretty cool.
And so like it's from the outside looks terrible. From the inside,
that's sick. That's a cool
spot. Yeah, from the inside, it's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Some of them are actually like nice. And here again, this is the Evangel cone pillar thing that you see all over Evangel.
In our old studio.
Yeah, actually, very common thing. And then the rooftop was pretty sick. It was like it had actual roof access with like a swimming pool, and there's a stage up there. This was a huge deal when he released this. And then he built
built-in furniture. Those are built-in like couches things. You see that?
Yeah. And so a lot of the like, I don't know, these get a lot of hate because they look like this. But once you're like in them, the spaces are actually not bad. Like they're kind of nice.
Yeah.
He was a big proponent though of minimalism. So like most of his spaces, like his idea was, he had this phrase.
Not doing too much.
The phrase was, it translates to existence minimal. And so you would live in the least amount of space you could possibly take up was the idea. So that way there was room for everybody. And that way you could have a lot of space and fit a lot of people in there. And then he built this church that looks like a freaking cartoon villain's lair.
Oh yeah, this is Despicable Me for sure.
This is a church in France. And then he started building all these housing blocks, became super popular in the post-war period.
Yeah.
These massive concrete constructions. Yeah. I mean, you're right. This looks like the Despicable Me layer. And then India had this very interesting thing happen where they had like the two-state solution or the two states merged together. They had this this capital city that there was planned capital city called Chandigarh, I believe is how you pronounce it. And they were like, build the whole thing. And he was like,
yes.
And so he builds a whole city that looks like this, the entire thing. It's
it does feel that. See, that doesn't feel soulless though. That feels like it has what the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's some of these. This rough, pretty rough. Yeah. This, at least there's different lines and shapes in it.
Yeah.
This one they painted some of the pillars. Like it's
kind of cool.
It's a mix. Some of it's interesting, some of it's not. But he built this whole city, and it's very interesting to see because the ideas he had was building this way would not eliminate, but lessen the class differences was the arguments he would make because everyone's on more of a similar playing field.
Sure.
But what happened is the working class ended up living in the smaller units, the existence minimalism.
You're rich, you get out
and
of
the
it.
rich people built homes like this on the outskirts of the city.
Yeah.
And so it further exacerbated the problem.
Yes.
But the concepts went on to where these things did actually get built. Housing blocks like this got built all across Soviet Russia, even in the States. In some areas, people followed in his footsteps, building constructions like this. And in a weird way, they're kind of soulless places to live, and they're not places that like in what's the Marie Kondo spark joy. But they did create a lot of surplus housing in a time when it was necessary and it was very much needed in that post-war era. And so it had a very, I shouldn't say very, but it had a positive impact because it gave people a place to live that otherwise probably wouldn't have had a place to live.
Sure.
And so it served a purpose, but they're not fun to live in. And so there's kind of this like not an ebb and flow, but the two sides of that coin, right? And so then because of the impact he made in all of this post-war era, the UN said, build our headquarters. And so he did. He designed the UN HQ.
Okay.
Which is probably his...
Most notable...
Probably, yeah. I mean, a lot of his construction in the architecture community is like pretty noteworthy, but this is probably the one that, at least in the States, I don't know if we all know this. I do.
Yeah, but you know, what's the room with all the green walls? Did he make that room?
What?
At UN?
What are you talking about?
UN, like the chamber that they all are in. You know what I'm talking about? With that green marble wall behind him?
I mean, I'm sure he designed. I'm sure.
You know what I'm talking about?
This one? Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, because look when you see it on a video, it looks, is it gold?
I mean, the walls look gold, I think. Yeah.
This is the room I'm talking about. Maybe it's the marble front of this thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the green carpet, maybe.
Yeah. That's the carpet that my church had in elementary school.
Modeled after the UN. Yeah, did he make this room? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, like he designed the whole place. He designed the whole place. He didn't just design the outside.
Okay. Crazy.
So very influential. Well, the point I'm trying to make, he's a very influential architect who, had it not been for him, the prefab industry wouldn't have existed, and the concrete architecture thing wouldn't have existed, and these housing blocks that we see all over the place. Like he had a pretty massive impact on the built world that we live in today.
Sure.
And you can say really two things about that. One, he made it possible for us to build at a much faster rate than we've ever been able to build and create much more space and be much more efficient. And that allowed more housing to be built and made it possible for a lot of people to be lifted out of poverty.
Sure.
But they also kind of suck to look at.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like he really fought against Victorian architecture and the ornamentation,
right.
and now we live in a world that's like starting to try to fight back towards ornamentation and being a little bit more interesting and like doing things that don't suck. But we still live in a world that's really, really steeped in efficiency. And that's not just him, but he's the one who brought that into architecture. And so his impact is still felt to this day. And anytime you drive through a cookie cutter neighborhood, you know exactly who to think, and that's Le Corbusier. And so when you drive through,
him Charles.
You drive through and you feel dead inside.
Yeah,
just say,
you know those
Corbusier.
like the Bavarian type neighborhoods where it's like all these houses look the same. That's my wife's nightmare, is to live in a neighborhood where all the houses. I know you. I don't get that.
I grew up in one. It feels like home to me.
Yeah, when you're driving through, it's just like
it's nostalgic.
You can't really tell them apart that much.
Yeah,
it feels.
I love that. I love that. we're all living the same existence.
All right, fiddle off. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you liked it and you wanted to learn more about architectural history, facts, things that happened, we did a whole episode about Tartaria, which is the truth.
Absolutely
about
true.
how the mudslides hid all of our buildings. Like I guess, there's a theory that humans built all this really fancy architecture and all this stuff, and the mudslides covered it all up, and then humans don't actually know how to do that stuff anymore.
It's our government is covering it up, and they're lying.
There's a lot of we can cut Tim's crap out of this. I'm doing the outro right now. Good night. Keep going.
Comply.
So, but there's part of the theory is they didn't know how to actually make that stuff anymore. So that's how we ended up with the bad architecture that we have. As we just learned, it's actually Le Cubrabra's fault, or however you say his name. But the theory was we just didn't know how to do it anymore. So it's an interesting episode. A lot of people found that episode that did not like us. So it would really, really helpful if you went and commented and liked it, because there's a lot of people who didn't. And if you want next week's episode right now, you can follow us on Patreon. It's a great way to help us grow the show, help us keep making the show. Go to TILLN.com/join. That's TILLN.com/join. You can get that next week's episode, ad-free, Discord, all the fun perks that come with that. Thanks for being a part of our show. Thanks for listening, for watching, for sharing. We really do enjoy this a lot. So we'll see you next week.
And hey, this is an evergreen podcast.
Cut it out. Leave that part in. Podcast. We're legally obligated to put that in there, but cut Tim out. Everything else.
You can find out more on evergreenpodcast.com.
Put Tim's voice over my mouth going.